Hello, let us continue our reading of the poem The Whitsun Weddings by Philip Larkin. In the last section that we have completed, there was a particular kind of a description that Larkin had made regarding the pomated girls, the grinning and pomated girls who were in parodies of fashion. There was the reference to the heels and veils. They were posed irresolutely, watching us go. What were their condition? It shows as if out on the end of an event, they were waving goodbye to something that survived it. Now the question certainly arises, what is the actual tone or temperament of this poet? Poet says, you will find probably from these lines and from these expressions that the temperament of the poet is cynical. The temperament of the poet is satiric to some extent. He says that the condition of the personalities, the condition of the persons who are there in the shades, or maybe they are standing on the platforms, they were waving goodbye, as if out on the end of an event they were waving goodbye to something. Remember, something, not someone, that survived it. So everywhere, in each and every expression, you will find that the temperament of Philip Larkin is mocking, you see. Mockery or mocking tone is being used. Larkin continues, struck, I linked more promptly out next time. That means it was awestruck, you see. I was very much surprised at the way people are behaving. Surprised at the way people are, behaving towards the personalities who are present along with us within this train. So I was struck. I limped more promptly out next time, more curiously, and saw it all again in different terms. That means the same thing is happening. The same orientations was there. I saw it all again in different terms. Okay, the terms were different, the personalities were different, the situations are different, but the ultimatum, the way they are behaving, these were quite similar to each other. So I saw it all again in different terms. What? Now, the stereotypes that he is creating here. He says, the fathers with broad belts under their suits and seamy foreheads, mothers loud and fat, and uncle shouting smart. So ultimately here you will find that in each and every kind of a description, whether it is in terms of the fathers, whether it is the mothers, or maybe the uncles, Larkin is generalizing. He is generalizing the attitude, temperament, presence, behavior of these personalities. The fathers, they wore broad belts under their suits. Now, here you will find, as I have already mentioned, that Larkin is always critical. Larkin's cynical temperament, his tone of mockery, or the mocking tone, is always being incorporated throughout the first few segments of this poem. That's why a non-compatibility is being always in work. The fathers, they are wearing broad belts under their suits. You will find that under the suits, the broad belts are not acceptable. They have the seamy foreheads, probably the bald heads that it indicates. The mothers are loud and fat. They are fatty and loud. Okay. It is not a typical form of aristocracy that have to be taken in consideration. So do you not find that somehow Larkin's temperament, Larkin's description of these characters, of these figures are actually indicating some satiric temperament of the poet? Yes. And mothers are loud and fat. And uncle shouting smart. Smart means, these are slangs. The uncles are always shouting smart. So ultimately, these are all the descriptive notions or generalizations of these people. And then the palms, the nylon gloves and jewelry substitutes. At one point there are the palms, you see. The gloves are nylon gloves, it is not the silken gloves. And if you think in terms of the jewelry, these are the jewelry substitutes. So everywhere you will find that these particular term, that is whether it is the palms, that is actually indicating towards the colloquial abbreviation for a permanent wave of hair, okay, or maybe the nylon gloves, these are actually being substituted in terms of the silken gloves. And also there are the jewelry substitutes. These are, the artificial things, as you can see, from the gold or maybe the valuable ornaments and so. So everywhere you will find that a kind of pollution, a kind of corruption is being incorporated regarding them. It also constitutes the layman's, mobs and olive ochres that marked off the girls unreally from the rest. Now, layman's, mobs, olive ochres, these are all colors. And you will find that with the help of, with the mentioning of these colors, Larkin is indicating towards these colored, clothes. And ultimately, these bright colors, these are making the girls, or marked of the girls, unreally from the rest. This particular kind of distanciation, this particular kind of separation can also be found, can also be classified on the basis of this typographical gap. You will find that the last line, it is standing, at a distance from the above 9 lines. Okay, so ultimately you will find that this is somehow what indicates the typical craftsmanship of a poet. The significance, the content, the structure, everything actually indicates towards something important. Okay, so we will continue in our next lecture. Stay attached.